Okay, we're gonna do a long haircut. Erin has hair that's like pretty average for the people that are coming into Scouts. It's not super thick, it's not super thin, it's very middle of the road. This is mostly what you're gonna be dealing with. So I'm just gonna not really section off a lot. I'm not really gonna part a lot because you don't really have to. If her hair was 3 times as thick as this, which totally does happen, you would want to section it off more just for your own comfortability and to make sure that everything is falling right. But for Erin's hair, somebody like my hair, you don't really have to do that. So Erin has told me that she wants to take off like 3 inches. So you always want to pull it kind of like in front of them and show them where that is, because sometimes your 3 inches is different than their 3 inches. So does that look about right to you? Mm-hmm. Awesome. So we're going to take off about that much hair. And then I'm just going to start on this side where she generally obviously parts her hair and start taking off the 3 inches. I'm not going to part it off to save myself some time because it's just not really necessary at all. This is my favorite part. Cutting off the dead hair feels so good. All right. And then I'm just taking that, splitting this section in the back. And then I'm just going to find my guide here for that amount of hair and just take it off. So I'm really just thinking about it in kind of these 4 different sections where it's the 2 on the sides, and then I kind of split the back in half. I think a lot of people overcomplicate this, but we're not going to do that. I'm not really using any clips or anything for this because it's kind of just not necessary. Then I'm going to follow my guide around to this side. Your hair feels so nice and soft. All right, and usually I always leave this side longer because I guess I just kind of drift this way. So you want to turn, split this down the middle, and turn them around, and just check your length. Today, I did not do that. Well, yeah, see, it's a little bit longer on this side, so we're just going to take it a little shorter on that side. Looks like we've got like 3/4 of an inch there. I am also like point cutting into the bottom, so it's not so blunt at the bottom, which I'll probably do a little bit more of that at the end. If you're doing one of those medium length Pinterest bobs, you probably want to just cut it straight across the bottom because it's a lot cleaner of a line at the bottom of the haircut. But for this, we want it to just be really soft. So you don't really want any straight lines at all. And as you can see now, we're all even in the front. And then you'd show them the evenness at the end too. All right, so now we want to take off, since this hair at the nape of someone's neck is a lot longer than the rest of the hair sometimes, we want to do something that Keela taught me called cutting the crap. So you're going to comb all of this to the back, and then you're going to ask your client to look down as far as they can. And then you're going to be able to see where you cut, and then you can see this other ledge of hair that kind of is sticking out from the bottom. And especially on somebody that has like really thick hair, that can be a little intimidating because it can be like really thick down there. But don't be intimidated, just find your guide, and then you just want to take off all of this extra hair from the bottom because it's just going to make your haircut look cleaner, grow out nicer. And then it also can help if you have somebody that's hair flips up, it can help it flip back under, which obviously her hair is really long, so it's not going to do that. But cutting the crap. Hope it's okay if I say crap in this video. All right, and now we have you can look back up. That falls down, and as you can see, there is no more crap. And now we're going to move into the layering part, which is also super simple. And you still want to kind of think about the haircut in the 4 different quadrants, which is both the side pieces, and then I'm going to split the back into 2. So we'll do this side first. And I am going to take about a 1/2 inch section. Again, if hair is really thick, the thicker the hair, the smaller you want your sections to be, so that way it'll all kind of lay together, and sometimes it'll be the actual density of the hair of each follicle is really thick around, so sometimes it doesn't lay exactly right. Her hair is super easy. This is going to be the majority of your long hair clients are going to be easy like this. Let's see, how can I get this angle? So I really want you to see this layer angle. Whoop. We're going to go from the bottom, and if you can see, I'm going to hold my hand like this, and then we're going to take that corner off. So that is your angle. And then I'm going to take it out, take this a little further up, same angle, and then I always pull it up to the top, and just make sure that this is even across. Because if this is longer, when it lays down, that is going to jet out and not be blended. So we just want to make sure that we kind of round that off. And then it should lay really nice. We're going to take this next 1/2 inch section and do the same thing. And of course, you can do all kinds of different layers, round and square and all the things you learned in school. This is just a really pretty angle, and it's a little bit more flowy than like a square layer. But the square layers are totally fine and necessary sometimes. A lot of times I'll leave the sections out in front of their ear because that's going to be for face framing anyways. But just in case you wanted to kind of make it go with everything, you can take that little corner off. All right, and then we're going to do this next side. This 1/2 inch quadrant. So that was only 3 sections that I took on her hair. Remembering that if her hair was really, really thick and full, we probably would be taking way smaller sections. For instance, Laura Elliott's hair, you'd be taking very, very small sections. Her hair is super thick. Next 1/2 inch section. And then the quicker you kind of get this easier part done, the more time it allows you to get their shampoo done and maybe their nice blowout. And then that means more money in your pocket, which is always the goal. I mean, I love cutting hair, but I love money more. Awesome. All right, now we'll get this out of the way, and then we'll just, I usually start in the center, just for symmetry here. And I kind of don't want this to be incredibly uniform, so I'm not even gonna really use a guide. I just kind of know how much I'm taking off, and we'll blend it all in at the end. And see, like, when you get to the back, there's a lot of this that you need to take off to make sure that it doesn't lay square and that it's nice and blended and that you don't have any lines in your layers. When you get clients that say that they want a certain amount of 3 or 4 layers, they haven't had very good haircuts, because if you can see how many layers you have, that's not good. Angle. And sometimes when you get in the back, it can get a little intimidating because it's usually a lot thicker than the front because there's just more hair in the back. You have more head space to have hair on. And you know, there's all different kinds of layers. If we were doing a shag or something, we would get way shorter with these and probably use a layer and be less concerned about the flowiness and more concerned about the chewiness of everything. Which are really popular right now. Shag haircuts. Then your layers are really intense and kind of more freeform. As you can see, we don't have very many lines. It's nice and blended and flowy. And then we're going to do this last section. My angle here. Angle from the bottom. In a lot of ways, especially one of these simple long layer haircuts can be even easier than a men's cut, even if you are really good at men's cuts. Like I know some of you are. All right, and this is going to be our last section here. I'm going to stand this way, sorry. Y'all can see that angle. Awesome. As you can see, everything is nice and blended. So then something that I like to do is I'm going to take sections, pretty large sections from the top, and just make sure we're blended in on both sides. And so I'll take like kind of a horseshoe section on the back here. And you can see it's a little longer on this side. So we're just going to even that up. Point cutting, so nothing makes any, you don't want to make any solid lines. Kind of like a men's haircut where you rock it out, or, you know, you never want to create a line because then you have to take it out. And this way, even if she were to part her hair on the other side, it wouldn't even matter because it's all blended in. And then I'm taking like an inch section, a little more than an inch section across, just making sure I kind of cross-check all of this stuff on the top. And that one's pretty even. Sweet. And then I'm going to talk about a few different ways that I would blend these layers in, because sometimes you do a haircut and you stand back and you look at it and you're like, man, I can see all of those layers that I made, and that's no good. So there's a couple different ways that we can do that. Something that I see a lot is that, I'm going to work kind of from the bottom down, but something I see a lot is that you'll do a layered haircut, and then there will be kind of like this ledge right here at the bottom. Usually that's because you haven't really connected your layering to the bottom layer, to that base layer. So you want to pull this out and kind of just make sure, trouble figuring out where to stand. You kind of want to just make sure that this corner, which we do have, that's your base, and you want to kind of just take that corner off. And that'll help blend the bottom into the rest of the haircut. Again, just point cutting, so we're not ever creating like any serious lines, because that's just going to make it to where you have to take them out, and that's going to take more time, and then everybody's irritated, so don't do that. Once again, little corner there. Connect it to the bottom. You probably don't have to do this in the front sections, but you can check them if you see that they're a little bit heavy at that layer. We did pretty good, but it's always nice to check. That corner off, and then do one more over here. Not much to take off there. All right, and then another way that we can kind of blend layers in, if you have, you can literally kind of see, and she, like I said, has really easy hair, so it's not gonna, we don't have a lot of lines or anything, but if you can physically see a section that is that is sitting really heavy and not blending into everything, you can take that piece of hair out, and then you can fan the hair with your fingers like this, and then you can go in and really deep point cut that. And you just want to kind of get the end of it to be really, feathery, and so that way it'll just blend in super nice. And that will help. Another way visually that you can really blend things is I like to, and sometimes you'll have to like section this off, but I like to do something called balayage blending, which is a Samvia thing. See if I can get at the right angle to do this. And I'll just go in, and we do have a little bit of a, not really, but this is kind of not necessary on her hair, but it really helps for people with really thick hair. But if you're trying to just remove that weight, you can go through and kind of like slide cut. You want to start maybe at like the center and do it really, really light. And just take that out. This is also a technique I use if we're creating texture in one of those mid-length, what I call Pinterest bobs, because they pull their phone out and you already know what they're about to show you. So again, you're going to start mid-shaft. This is just slide cutting. You want to barely close your scissors. Your scissors are really sharp, and there shouldn't be any problem with that. A lot of times you just want to do that. Also, if you're trying to remove bulk from underneath, you can do that technique. But obviously, they named this technique because of like kind of how you do balayage color. Another thing that you can do if your line at the bottom is a little bit too straight is obviously kind of just go in and take some deeper point cuts in that base to just soften it up. And then you can kind of like freeform that until you get to where you want to be. Those are really quick ways and easy ways to blend the haircut. And then the last thing that we're going to do is some face framing. Do you want face framing?
Sure.
Awesome. That's good because I need to do that. So then you want to ask them if they want the face framing. Kind of the three places that you want to accentuate on a person's face, depending on what they want, is if you start at the eyebrow, the cheekbone, or the chin. So would you rather have it kind of at your eyebrow or your cheekbone or your chin?
I don't know. Cheekbone?
Sure. That sounds great. Yeah. Erin has amazing cheekbones. You can't see them because of the mask, but we're going to accentuate them. So you want to take this, and what I like to do with these face framing pieces is I take all the hair that's in front of the ear. As you can see, there's Erin's beautiful ear. And then I like to take pretty small sections just to make it look real natural, like this is the way her hair grew. What am I saying? And then you're going to take it off where her cheekbone is, because that's what she asked for, so, or what I told her she was getting. And then you're just going to slide cut. And then you want to take this next pretty small section. This is really the most important part of the haircut, aside from blending the layers, because this is like what everybody sees first, So you want to take some care in where these lay and how they lay and make them really soft. So that way when you turn them around to face the mirror, they're like, oh my God, my cheekbones. And I might go through one more time, just make it a little steeper. And then you kind of pull this out, and then maybe, not maybe, you do want to blend it into the rest of the haircut. So just take, once again, this corner off. There's lots of different ways to do this too, because some people like to pull it out and cut it. This is just how I do it, so I can kind of see where it's going to lay. And that makes it so nice when they pull it back in a ponytail and they have all these nice little feminine pieces that come out. around their face, obviously. Can really make or break a haircut, face framing. All right, and then we'll kind of do this side, which is going to be more hair here because she parts on this side, so her bang's heavy on this side. Everything off in front of the ear. Take small sections. Start at her cheekbone, and then you're going to come back towards you, slide cutting. You kind of want to start like if this piece, you know, is here, I'm going to kind of start this next piece maybe like a couple inches up. And then make sure that it ends up being longer, you know? So then you're having like, it's coming down. Because obviously you don't want it to go like this, down, and then back up, because that would be stupid. Unless that's what they're asking for, which you might advise them not to do that. And then once again, kind of blend it into the rest of it. And then you kind of just want to comb it out and check, you know, make sure that you don't have, as you can see, we don't really have any lines or anything. There's no blending issues. I might look at this and say like, oh, that's really super straight across. So let's just point cut a little bit and kind of like give it some texture and soften it up a little bit. Or we already kind of did that in the back. All right, and then I usually will flip it forward to check my work, make sure that I didn't leave a side really long or something. And then I usually pull it forward when I flip them around because it makes them feel like they have a lot of hair and they're super happy with their haircut like that. I know, look how happy she is. It's amazing. And so fast, right? Like it's not that complicated. I feel like when I first started cutting hair that I really overcomplicated a long haircut. They just want movement, they just want layers, they just want face framing. A general rule, if they don't ask for really intense layers or really short layers, is to take off about as much hair in the layer as you did from the bottom, because that's going to get them to where they were before they got the haircut. But anyways, that's about it. Thanks for watching this video.